When you first tell someone that you're a Scientologist, it's this cold reaction you get. It's kind of this face that's just like...
You have to develop a thick skin. You're not going to win any popularity contests for being popular. The teasing and the ridicule and the loneliness are incessant.
I'm not some deviant. I'm not a skinhead, you know? I'm just a regular guy that has faith in Scientology. I mean, it's my fucking religion, you know?
Where have all the Scientologists gone? Where are they hiding? And why have they been pushed towards society's margins? Those questions and more tonight on Turn Up the Volume. Welcome back. We at the BBC hope you have thus far enjoyed our Turn Up the Volume series, where we shine a light on the shadows, and I hand a microphone to the misunderstood. Our topic this week, Scientology. Always America's religious bugaboo. Though membership seems to be in decline, this reporter suggests Scientologists have not disappeared, but simply withdrawn. It is an American tradition to wave the flag of freedom and tolerance for all. It is English tradition to constantly remind them of their hypocrisy and obesity and their chubby limbs and flabby arms that they've got. Sleuth that I am, I cleverly ventured to Denver, Colorado, where I unearthed several Scientologists brave enough to tell their story. Meet Luther Stapleton, Jonathan Fleece, and a boy called Squibs. They aren't 7 meters tall, their skin isn't slimy, and they don't breathe fire. But they are Scientologists. Luther, first off, thank you so much for having me in the outside of your warm, lovely home. Is it correct that you have 7 children?
We do, yep. 70 fingers and 70 toes, just running around in this house I built. I don't do too much of the parenting, though. That's Trish's deal.
So I presume you come from a large family as well, then?
Actually, my mom was not very available to my father in that way. My dad actually would always say that that woman was put on this earth just to spurn my sexual advances. Of course, there was one exception. Yours truly. But as far as further sexual endeavors...
have you ever spoken to another human before? You don't just start telling me that. It's just quite despicable. I mean, really, we're strangers. What are you even telling me this for? There's a camera here documenting your words. Just tell me about Scientology, please.
Well, I mean, it's the only church I've ever known. My dad was a very early adopter. He was pretty angry when he came back from Korea. And Scientology was there when Eisenhower wasn't. You know, we all seem to have our own path to the church.
I had the classic identity crisis from ages 12 to about what, 32. I had dabbled in Scientology when I was a teenager, amongst other things. Shintoism, Slavic skepticism. But my dad, he put a stop to all that and, you know, told me to just be normal and give up on God like the rest of us. And so I did for a long time. But then he died, and the coast was kind of clear for me to rediscover my faith.
Yeah.
All right, you're rolling.
Are you guys going to put the blackface box over?
That technology does not actually exist yet. Why all the secrecy? Why live a lie?
As you can see, I suffer from debilitating scoliosis, and that's haunted me for years. And you know, high school's hard as it is, but for me, the last thing I need to do is admit my involvement in a controversial religion, and you know, just end up Squibs the scoliotic Scientologist.
Yeah. I'm actually a teacher at the local high school. I teach English, and I get to see firsthand how cruel kids can be to one another just for being different. When I first told my colleagues that I was a practicing Scientologist, I was harassed for weeks verbally and months physically by a rotating crew of fellow faculty members. Things are better now, but I come late and leave early, and I did buy a whistle.
As I listened to one ghastly tale of woe after another, I could not help but feel utterly stirred. These brave, pitiful men live every day in a paranoid distress. Wearing a Hawthornian S across their jumpers, they believe, quite simply, that the rest of us are insensitive twats.
My family's never safe. Trisha, she wanted baby number 8, and heck, I'll give it to her. So we go to the adoption agency, and we're at the bottom of the list. Why do you think that is? Is it because they know I'm a Scientologist? I sure think so.
Never tell a stranger, just as a rule. You really shouldn't tell a friend either. That's somehow worse. Then they're just reevaluating their entire relationship with you. And it's all about how the information has now affected them moving forward.
One of my friends recently came out, and he was dating a very pretty girl, but he told her that he was getting into Scientology, and she just, you know, slam dumped him. And you know, this guy was the total package. He was handsome and intelligent, and his spine was as straight as a redwood. But, you know, once she heard that S word come out of his mouth, just all bets are off.
As I've been interviewing you and your cohorts, I really can't even imagine a group of people less credible than you. Do you feel like you're misunderstood?
There are some misconceptions. I've heard that it's a pyramid scheme, it's a cult, you eat placentas, but sometimes you just tell your kids to butt out.
There are certain things blown out of proportion. Yeah. You know, I don't hate psychiatrists. I certainly pity them and their life's work, but I don't hate them.
We don't have many advocates out there, and when we do, they tend to be Hollywood types.
Then you started having all these actors come out and doing these talk shows and divulging some of the more advanced components of the religion.
Now I'd like to speak about the Galactic Confederacy. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but the Galactic Confederacy is allegedly led by Xenu, a tyrant ruler.
I thought that we weren't going to talk about that. Is it okay if we don't? Because it's just, I don't know if I'm supposed to.
John, I'd like to speak about the Galactic Confederacy.
You're not equipped to handle the Galactic Confederacy.
Now, John, did you really think we'd have an entire interview and not speak on the details of Scientology?
The Bible, your King James
According to
version,
this story, 75 million years ago, Xenu brought billions of people to Earth.
Go up, you
in
bald
spacecraft
head,
resembling
uttered
DC-8
Bethlehem,
airliners, stacked them around volcanoes, and
come out of
detonated
the woods and maul 42 of you.
You believe
said
that?
the Lord. Because that's not ridiculous.
You're teaching children, and you believe that.
I'm not mad at you about asking. I get it. This position really hurts my back, so I'm just going to lean. I'm just going to move back, and we can proceed.
Now, Squibs, you have to understand, people are going to hear stories about aliens and galactic confederacies and immediately dismiss it as science fiction.
I can see how it sounds outlandish if you say it out loud or if you think about it all at once. And, you know, they teach you not to do those things. But it's coming to terms with the truth about the universe, and that's a gradual process, you know? And things don't make sense if you look at them.
Squibs, is everything all right?
Oh, yeah. I was hoping I'd have an hour to give you where it was unimpeded by my back pain, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Sir, would you mind if I spend 10 minutes laying on the ground?
Well, feel free to take a minute, Squibs. There's no rush here. We have all the time in the world.
That's sweet of you to say. It's sweet of you to lie to me.
Our journey thus far has been rather depressing, bleak, and even a bit boring. I know I'm bored, but don't you worry, my ugly little ducklings. I've found a glimmer of hope. Let's speak about a man called Walter Flynn.
Walter Flynn is nothing short of a pioneer.
Funny story, actually. We met on a riverboat. It was his first time, which was obvious.
Tell me about a man called Walter Flynn.
Where do I start with Walter?
The basic goal of the program is to reach out to any young Scientologists who've ever felt persecuted for their faith and to let them know they're not alone.
Well, it's really made a difference letting me know that there's not something wrong with me.
When I first moved here, I had to go door to door and tell everyone that I was a registered Scientologist as required by the state. And Walter opens up 20 minutes in, he's the third door I open, and he says, "You look so cold. Come on in." And this is mid-July, so I knew he meant something else.
There can be a lot of taunting when you're a young Scientologist, but we're here to tell you that even though things are tough now, well, it doesn't get better per se, but it doesn't get worse either. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. .org.
It started out as just a bunch of people telling their stories online.
Listen up, kiddos.
I am a Scientologist.
I don't even know you, but I love you.
The only people that really even want to be friends with me are other Scientologists.
It is what it is.
Or in Swedish, jag är en scientolog, och det är vad det är.
I'm a Scientologist. I mean, I'm also gay, but everyone's pretty cool about that.
And now it's completely taken off. It's become this thing, this movement. We all dream of being internet darlings at some point. I just assumed my big break would come because of my music. Or my art. And that'll come. But for now, This Is What It Is campaign seems to be my meal ticket. And if I can convince just one scientist to stay the course, then I've done my job.
Click subscribe, you can be a subscriber.